Hello, it's Deborah from Attic Lane, and today I want to share with you something a little bit different. I want to share some journal books that I've made in the past, and I want to show you a book that I actually made recently on the road when we took a road trip to Germany. So just to start out with, I'm sure many people have made journals like this. I've got some here, they date back to 2009 is the earliest. This is from a road trip we did to Wiesbaden in 2011. We got various ones from holidays. I've got some where I just took some really nice photographs of nature and I decided to put them into a book because I get inspired by the different colours. If I want to know what a leaf looks like, I can look outside, or I can refer back to my book that has got some particularly nice photographs in it. This one is 2008. What I've never been able to do is make these actually on the go. You take the photograph, you come back, you download the photo, you print it off, you cut it up and you make it into your book. But sometimes on a road trip like this you really want to be able to capture the moment a little bit better, and I didn't think it would be possible until quite recently. Two things happened at the same time. The first was that I got my monthly stamping kit from Craftwork Cards, and included in the kit was this special gift, and it's a craft card book with some white inserts, and I thought that's perfect, we're going on a road trip so I can take that with me and I can make some notes about what we did. And then the second thing that happened was that I found out about these little gizmos. This is an HP Sprocket. You may or may not be familiar with these, but it's very tiny, it's very little, and you say, okay, what does it do? And it's a printer. This tiny little thing is a printer, and I'm absolutely knocked out by it. I think it's brilliant. It's ever so small, it's very light, so you can easily pack it away in a kit and take it with you and print out photographs as you go. It's you flip the top off and then inside you load special sheets. This is called zinc, which stands for zero ink, because if you use the special papers, that's all you need. You don't need ink cartridges. And what happens is when you go to print your photograph, the magic pixies make the colour happen, and you get a photograph maybe like this. And okay, that's not the best photograph in the world, you're not going to win any awards for that, but for crafting, for journaling, as a memento and as a memory, this is perfect. So I was absolutely knocked out by this, and this got packed as well. I knew I wanted to work with some stamps when I was away, so I found the stamps that would give me some options for the sort of countryside or scenery that we might encounter. So windmill was perfect from this set, and the trees and the grassy hills. And I thought, so do I take all the stamps with me and an ink pad, and then what colour ink pad do I want to use? I've also got a set here which is Ditsy Daisies from Craftwork Cards. This is one of my most favourite recent acquisitions, and you can see it's been extremely well used. And I wanted to use the flowers from that as well, but I didn't want to take all of the stamps and then an ink set and then a stamping pad as well. I just thought it would be too much. So I came up with the idea of using self-adhesive sheets. So I stamped onto, these are white sheets, I'm trying not to glare you too much. You stamp onto the white sheet just using ordinary, I used archival ink, black ink, and then I cut them out so that I ended up taking away something like this already. I didn't know what I was going to use, so I took a selection. I've got some flowers, I've got some trees, I've got a windmill, I've got a chef, because let's face it, you need a chef, and I've got a leaf. And when you these are all ready to colour onto, and then when you're finished you can peel it away and it's ready to stick onto your project. It's absolutely brilliant. I love that. I use that quite a lot now on my projects, but for this trip it was great. To colour my stamps and to colour the pages in my book, I took away my pencils. These are Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils. What I like about these is they go on very smoothly. They have a nice buttery texture. They layer up very easily. You don't have to apply pressure onto your sheet to get them to layer up really nicely and take on a full colour, or they can be as light as you want them to be, and they don't break. I compared quite a few pencils before I made the big purchase and committed to these ones, but the reason that I went with the Polychromos pencils was partly because they are so strong down the middle, they just don't break. I also took a pen. This is an erasable pen, so it's a Pilot Frixion Point, and if you make a mistake, it's got a little eraser on the end, so you can rub out. And I thought, if I make a mistake, if I spell a German town wrong or something, then I've got my erasable pen. I also took some shiny jelly roll pens, not too many of those. I took about 3 or 4 just in case I wanted to add some bling. I took a mouldable eraser, mostly just because I like to sit and play with it. And instead of a pencil sharpener, I took sandpaper, so that if the pencils need sharpened, I had something in my pack ready to go. I added a few extra things to my kit that I thought I might need. I added a quickie glue pen if I did need to stick anything down. I took some cutouts. These are also from Craftwork cards, which I've had in one of their kits. I took a few of those small ones in case I wanted to make a big title in my book. I took some scissors and I took some washi tape, and I just happened to have washi tape in the colours of the German flag, so I thought they might be useful to add some colour to my page. This then was my entire mobile crafting kit, my journal book, my printer, amazingly, I still can't believe that's a printer, my scissors and my colouring, and I'll show you what I made. I deliberately haven't completed this side of the book because I want to show you where I started from, but it was basically this thick craft card and then some blank white sheets inside in the same shape. So I'll turn it over and I'll show you where it got started. To begin with, I covered the whole of the front of this with a really beautiful stamp from Simon Says Stamp. This is called Flora Background, and I inked it up in Versacolour ink, and then I used white powder to heat emboss it. And I was going to colour this in, but I decided I really liked it as it was. It showed through enough of the craft card underneath, and it's beautiful and ornate, and I didn't want to mess around with it, so I left it as it was. I had some paper in my stash that I used to make the colours of the German flag again, so yellow, red, some gold and some black, and I added a little bit of ribbon as well in the same colours. And that was really, I'll get these out of the way, so that was where the book started from. I was able to work on it in the evenings. We went over in a camper van with the dog. He has his own passport and he's been to 7 countries, so he's very well travelled. And he features in some of the pictures too. So the trip that we took, I did a map for our route so that I would remember where we had been and where we stayed. And we started over in the southwest of England and we took the Eurotunnel to Calais. We drove through Belgium, through Luxembourg and into Germany, and then on the return trip we drove back, but we skipped Luxembourg this time. We went straight back through Belgium to France and then back again. And the map was just drawn with that erasable ink pen that I showed you earlier, and was coloured, and you can see how soft the colours are with those pencils. I want to say something about the holes. So in this one, for example, the hole is protected because I put one of the coloured stickers around it. So I coloured in a flower, I coloured in a couple of leaves, and I stuck them in place. And I just cut the hole where I'd gone over the hole with them, with the big flower particularly. I just cut it, so that means that that hole is nicely protected and it won't rip easily if I add something, a little label onto it. So this little label is also protected, but not because it has a sticker on it. It has, let's see if I can make this really clear. I've coloured this, but you can see just around that hole it's a little paler, and that's because I protected the hole using glossy accents. So instead of trying to cut out bits of paper to hole protect, I went round it with the glossy accents because it creates a sort of a plastic seal around that. And I'm quite confident that, although it's going to be possible to rip this because it's only card, at least that will give the hole a little bit of protection. The other clever thing I didn't tell you about the photos from the little printer is that they are stickers as well. So they have a sticky back and you peel off the protection paper and you can glue them directly onto whatever you're you want to use them onto. So for journaling, they're fabulous. So I had my photograph, I stuck it in place, I did the colouring on the stickers that I'd previously cut out, as I showed you. I did some journaling around the border of the picture, and then I did some random wording. So there's quite a lot of this through the book because I'm a bit of a neat freak, and this is one of the ways that I'm trying to cure myself. The flower stamp I've used to link both photographs. So I've cut away some of the leaves and I've overlapped the flower over the top photograph and the bottom photograph so that everything is anchored in the centre of the page and it all ties in. On this page I used some washi tape that I actually bought en route. I found a craft shop, as you do. And I've used the windmill to link the two photographs, much as I used the flower in the previous page. There's a tiny little bit of bordering around the photographs and a very small amount of journaling as well. As well as finding a crafting shop to buy some extra washi tape, I amazingly found a lint shop. Don't know how I do it. And so I got one of their little cards, which is great, so if I ever go back I know exactly where to find the chocolate shop. And I did some decorating along the top of this as well, so all of this is just hand drawn, and there's some journaling down the side and along the bottom. You can see the colour pencils in action here, so they colour up a background really quickly. You just flip backwards and forwards and you get a really good colour, so it means that every page looks as if it's a bit different. This is probably one of my favourite pages just because it's the sort of clean, simple, uncluttered look that I normally go for, so clearly my neat freak was in control here. The colours of the book, of this particular page, were taken from the photograph. So the photograph has got blues and some greys, and it looks pink in the photograph. So underneath the photograph, before I put anything on the page, I coloured it with blue. There's some pink in there to warm it up. You might not be able to see that. And then the decoration around the outside, this is all just hand journaling, but it was inspired by the palms from the photograph. I don't know if you can see those. See those palms there? And then these are meant to be little palm fronds around the outside as well. I've got to this page and realised that I forgot to show you one of the pieces in my kit. I took this, it's a drawing aid, much like you get in technical drawing or graphic drawing. It's called a Picasso, and I will provide a link to it so you can, if you want to go and find it, you can. And I used it to create this sort of cloud effect. So I lined it up there, and I took a blue pen and I just smooshed into the Picasso, but I'm going to show you that because it's really useful and I used it a couple of times on my journal. So I just positioned my, well, what I did on that page to begin with was I put down a layer of pink, just very, very lightly. And then I took my Picasso and I just came in and butted straight up to the edge of the Picasso, and it has an effect like clouds. It could be waves as well, or it could be hills, depending on how you wanted to use it. But by making a couple of layers using the Picasso over the top of just the same colour, there we go, looks like pink clouds. I knew I wanted to do a page about cooking because in our van we have a little kitchen, so it's nice and easy to eat on the road, and that's why I wanted my chef and the utensils. And I coloured the chef to match the colour of the page, which was again influenced by the colour of the food cooking. It was a particularly nice savoury rice stir fry. So he's got matching trousers. The book, all the background all matches everything, and it all ties in beautifully. And then just to make the page look a little bit more fun, in addition to the journaling, I did a whole bunch of little hearts and little dots. This is a lovely thing we saw on one of the bridges as we went out for a walk. A whole series of locks tied to the bridge, padlocks on the bridge, put there by lovers. So that's why this page is love inspired. You can see where the Picasso, I've used the Picasso to do some edging on this page. I've also done some just some rough doodling with some hearts, dangling hearts, and I also did a tag for this page. This says Love Locks on it. And this is the final page I have for you. So I've got my photograph, I've gone around the outside of the photograph and the outside of one of my little title things with my black pen, and I've used the Prismacolor pencils to colour in some of my trees that were cut out on my stickers, and also a couple of hills that were also cut out as stickers. The hills actually stop here. There's a line where the sticker stops there. But I've continued the green below it, and when you see it from a distance I don't think it's very obvious. I think it looks like the whole thing is hill, but if I show you close up maybe you can see where the line of the sticker ends there, and that one ends there. I think this page in particular is a nice page to show you different ways that you can use your stamps. If you use them to create stickers, then you can make them into scenes on all sorts of journal books or memory books. You don't have to limit yourself to using them on cards. When I got home I decided that I wanted to add a little bit more interest to the book, so I got some tags that I got free in another Craftwork card kit, and I did the same with the glossy accents. I did some hole protection around them, and I tied a tag for each different place that we'd been in the book. So this one is Bad Kissingen, this one is for Belgium, this one is for Trier, and this one is for the padlocks on the bridge that were so pretty. And that's the book, that's what I made with it. So if you want to craft on the road, if you have the opportunity to craft on the road, this is a great little thing, makes it all possible. And a book, and maybe some colour pencils, some scissors and some glue, and off you go. As always, thank you very much for watching. I always appreciate the time that you take to watch these videos. I'm going to leave you with some close-ups of the book along with a little bit of music, and I'll see you next time.